In 1977, the Delhi High Court made a pivotal ruling in the case of Sialkot Industrial Corporation versus Union of India. This case was not just another legal battle. It was a turning point in the interpretation of customs laws in India. This case brought a new perspective to Section 13 of the Indian Customs Act of 1962. The section, which had been somewhat ambiguous, was now under scrutiny. This section dealt with duty remission, meaning a refund on customs duty paid for imported goods. The implications of this were vast, affecting importers and businesses across the country. Prior to this case, the understanding of loss or damage under Section 13 was quite limited. Most people believed it only covered physical damage or destruction. It was generally interpreted to mean physical damage or destruction of goods. This narrow interpretation often left many importers without recourse for other types of losses. However, the Sialkot case broadened this understanding significantly. The court's decision expanded the definition to include other forms of loss, setting a precedent that would influence future cases and customs practices. Sialkot Industrial Corporation, an Indian company, imported a consignment of raw materials. These materials were crucial for their production line, ensuring the smooth operation of their manufacturing processes. These materials were intended for use in their manufacturing processes, which included producing high-quality industrial goods for both domestic and international markets. Upon arrival at the port, it was discovered that a portion of the consignment was missing. This unexpected loss posed a significant challenge for the company. The company was then required to pay customs duty on the entire consignment, including the missing goods. This duty was a substantial amount, adding to their financial burden. Naturally, the company felt this was unfair. They were being penalized for goods that never reached their warehouse. They had suffered a loss, the missing goods. This not only affected their inventory, but also their production schedule and overall business operations. So, they filed a claim for a refund of the duty paid on those missing goods. The process was lengthy and required substantial documentation and legal arguments. Their argument was simple. If the goods never entered India, why should they pay duty on them? This case highlighted the complexities and challenges businesses face in international trade and customs regulations. Sialkot Industrial Corporation argued that the term loss in Section 13 should not be restricted to physical loss or damage. They contended that it should encompass situations like theft, pilferage, or non-arrival of goods. Essentially, any situation where the importer did not receive the goods, they should not be liable for duty on them. This argument challenged the traditional narrow interpretation of the law. It pushed for a more practical and fair approach to duty remission in cases of missing imported goods. The government, on the other hand, argued that loss under Section 13 only covered physical loss or damage to the goods. They maintained that the legal framework was clear and unambiguous in this regard, emphasizing that the term loss should not be stretched to include non-physical aspects. This interpretation, they argued, was essential to maintain the integrity and predictability of customs regulations. They insisted that since there was no physical damage to the missing goods, Sialkot Industrial Corporation was not eligible for a duty refund. The government highlighted that allowing refunds for non-physical losses could open the floodgates to numerous claims, potentially disrupting the customs duty system. The Delhi High Court, however, sided with Sialkot Industrial Corporation. The court took a more expansive view of the term loss, considering the broader implications for businesses and the economy. The court decided that the term loss in Section 13 should be interpreted broadly. It recognized that the legislative intent behind the provision was to provide relief to importers in genuine cases of loss, irrespective of whether the loss was physical or otherwise. It shouldn't be confined to physical loss or deterioration. The court emphasized that a narrow interpretation would defeat the purpose of the law and could unfairly penalize businesses for circumstances beyond their control. The court recognized that the purpose of customs duty is to tax goods imported into India. It noted that if the goods never arrived, the very basis for imposing the duty was absent. If the goods never arrived, the importer shouldn't be penalized. The court's decision underscored the importance of fairness and equity in the application of customs laws. This landmark decision set a precedent for future cases and significantly impacted how duty remission is understood and applied in India. It provided much-needed clarity and assurance to importers, ensuring that they would not be unduly burdened by circumstances beyond their control.